Most parents are feeding their baby every day and accidentally starving their brain. I was standing in the grocery store with my 6-month-old strapped to my chest, staring at the baby food aisle, completely overwhelmed. Tiny jars everywhere, labels with cartoon vegetables, brain development written on half of them. And I had absolutely no idea which ones actually worked and which ones were just marketing. That was the moment I decided to stop guessing and actually research what a developing baby brain needs. Not the label claims, not the marketing, the actual biology. And what I found genuinely surprised me, because the most powerful brain foods for babies aren't in special jars. They aren't expensive superfoods from health stores. They are 5 completely ordinary foods that most of us walk past every single week without realizing what they're actually capable of. I'm going to tell you exactly what these 5 foods are, what they do inside your baby's brain, and why the timing matters more than most parents realize. But first, this one thing changed how I saw everything. Your baby's brain is not developing slowly and steadily like most people imagine. It is building at a speed that will never happen again in your child's entire life. In the first 3 years, the brain is forming up to 1 million new neural connections every single second. 80% of your child's brain development happens before their 3rd birthday. And here's what that means practically. The brain is under construction right now. It needs raw materials, specific ones, and it builds with whatever you give it, good materials or poor ones. It doesn't pause and wait for better ingredients. It just builds. So, what are the right ingredients? Let's start with the one that shocked me the most. Number 1 is eggs. Not egg whites, the yolk, the part I used to scoop out because I'd read something vague about cholesterol years ago. Inside an egg yolk is something called choline. I had never heard of choline before I started researching this. And when I read what it actually does, I felt genuinely terrible about all the yolks I had been throwing away. Choline builds acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter your baby's brain uses for memory formation and learning. It also builds the actual cell walls of every neuron being created right now in your baby's brain. Without enough choline, those walls are weaker, the neurons are less stable, the connections don't form as efficiently. One egg yolk gives your baby almost their entire daily choline requirement. 1. Soft scrambled, mashed gently from around 6 months. That's it. The simplest thing on this list and possibly the most important one to start immediately. Number 2 is salmon. I know some parents are nervous about introducing fish early. I was too. But the research on this one is so clear that I wish someone had told me before I hesitated for 3 months. Salmon is the richest practical source of DHA, a fat that makes up a massive portion of the brain's physical structure. The brain is 60% fat. DHA is the primary building material. During the first 2 years, the brain is actively pulling DHA from the bloodstream and incorporating it directly into neural cell membranes. When DHA is available, those membranes are flexible and signals travel fast. When it isn't, the membranes are stiffer, signals are slower, and the visual cortex, which is developing incredibly rapidly in the first year, doesn't reach its full potential. Babies who get regular DHA in their diet consistently show better visual development, faster problem solving, and stronger early language skills. Salmon twice a week, pureed or flaked very finely, is genuinely one of the highest impact things you can do for your baby's brain in the first year. Number 3 is blueberries. This is the one that surprised me the most. I used to give my baby blueberries as a snack because they were easy and she liked them. I had no idea I was accidentally doing something remarkable. Blueberries contain a specific type of antioxidant called anthocyanins, the compounds that give them their deep blue color. What makes anthocyanins extraordinary is that they can cross the blood-brain barrier. Most nutrients cannot do this. These ones can, and once they're inside the brain, they do something called stimulating BDNF production. BDNF stands for brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Researchers sometimes call it the brain's fertilizer. It directly promotes the growth of new neurons and strengthens existing connections. Higher BDNF in a developing brain means faster learning, stronger memory, and more efficient neural network formation. Half a cup of blueberries 3 or 4 times a week. Mashed for younger babies, soft and whole for older ones. For something that costs almost nothing and requires zero preparation, the neurological impact is remarkable. Number 4 is sweet potato. Sweet potato was one of the first foods I introduced, and I always felt good about it. But I didn't know the real reason why it was so valuable until much later. Sweet potato is one of the richest sources of beta carotene, which the body converts into vitamin A, and vitamin A does something in a developing brain that most people have never heard of. It directly regulates gene expression in neurons. It activates specific genes that control how brain cells migrate, how they differentiate, and how the layered architecture of the cerebral cortex gets built. The visual cortex is one of the most rapidly developing systems in the first year of life. What your baby sees and tracks is directly stimulating neural connections across the entire brain. Vitamin A is critical to that system developing fully and correctly. Sweet potato is also rich in vitamin B6, which the brain uses to produce serotonin and dopamine, chemicals that don't just affect mood but actually regulate how neural circuits organize themselves during development. 2 to 3 servings a week from around 5 to 6 months. Easy to puree, naturally sweet, and one of the most complete brain-supporting foods you can offer at the weaning stage. Number 5 is plain full-fat yogurt. Not the flavored ones with the cartoon characters on the lid, plain, full-fat with live active cultures. The full-fat part matters because the brain is 60% fat and it is actively building myelin right now. Myelin is the protective coating around nerve fibers that makes signal transmission fast and efficient. It's what allows your baby's brain to think more quickly, process information more smoothly, and regulate emotions more effectively as they grow. You cannot build myelin well on a low-fat diet. Full-fat dairy gives the brain the saturated and unsaturated fats it needs in a form a baby's digestive system can actually absorb. But the live cultures are the part that genuinely blew my mind when I first learned about it. The gut and the brain are in constant two-way communication through something called the vagus nerve. The bacteria living in your baby's gut directly influence how much serotonin and dopamine gets produced, how the brain responds to stress, and how inflammatory responses in the brain are regulated. Babies with healthier gut microbiomes consistently show better emotional regulation, stronger immune systems, and better cognitive development over time. Plain full-fat yogurt with live cultures feeds that microbiome directly. A few tablespoons a day from around 6 months. If your baby resists the plain taste, mix a small spoonful of mashed blueberries into it, and you've just combined 2 of the 5 foods on this list in one meal. Here is what I want to leave you with. None of these foods are special or hard to find. Eggs, salmon, blueberries, sweet potato, yogurt. These are foods in every grocery store at every price point that any parent can start offering today. What makes the difference isn't having perfect information or a perfect diet. It's consistency. Offering these foods regularly in the window when the brain is building most rapidly gives your baby the materials it needs to build well. The brain doesn't wait, it builds with what it has, and now you know exactly what to give it. By including these 5 superfoods in your baby's diet, you will see a clear difference in their cognitive development and brain power. The science is real, the foods are simple, and the window is right now. Which of these foods does your little one enjoy the most? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one, and I would love to know which ones your baby has taken to. And for more helpful baby care tips and advice, don't forget to subscribe to Baby Care World.